The button exists because clothing needed to become predictable. For most of history, garments were secured by methods that assumed patience. Robes were wrapped and tied, tunics were belted, cloaks were pinned. These solutions were flexible, but they were unstable. They loosened as the body moved. They relied on friction and memory rather than structure. As societies grew more mobile and daily routines more repetitive, that instability became a problem. People needed clothing that stayed put through work, travel, and weather, without constant adjustment. The button offered a small, repeatable certainty. Early fasteners included hooks, toggles, and ties. Each had advantages, but also limits. Hooks concentrated stress at single points and tore fabric. Ties loosened unevenly and required rebalancing. Toggles worked well for thick materials, but were awkward for finer garments. The button replaced these by distributing tension. A button does not clamp fabric. It redirects force through a loop. When tension is applied, the fabric pulls against itself, not the button. The button simply holds position. This reduces wear and allows lighter materials to be used without sacrificing security. This insight shaped everything about its form. Buttons are round not for decoration, but for predictability. A circle rotates smoothly, reducing friction during fastening. Sharp corners would catch threads and damage buttonholes. Flatness keeps the button from tipping under load. Thickness provides resistance against pull-through. The buttonhole is equally important. Its length, reinforcement, and placement determine how force is absorbed. The slit stretches slightly under tension, gripping the button more tightly as load increases. This self-tightening behavior is essential. It means the button holds better when it is needed most. Buttons also assume repetition. Unlike pins or knots, buttons are meant to be opened and closed many times a day. That repetition demands forgiveness. The fastening motion must tolerate imprecision. You don't need to aim perfectly. The hole finds the button as much as the button finds the hole. This mutual tolerance is the core of the design. The realization often arrives when you notice how rarely a single button is trusted alone. Shirts, coats, and jackets rely on sequences. Each button carries only part of the load. If one fails, the garment remains functional. Redundancy is not optional, it is fundamental. This reflects human behavior. People pull unevenly, they rush, they sit, bend, stretch, and twist. A fastening system that assumes even force would fail quickly. Buttons survive by assuming imbalance. Material choice reinforces this. Buttons are made from substances that wear slowly but visibly. Bone, wood, metal, plastic. Each develops patina, not sudden failure. A cracked button signals replacement long before collapse. This gradual degradation allows garments to outlive individual fasteners. Sewing method matters too. The thread connecting button to fabric is intentionally flexible. It creates a small standoff, allowing fabric layers to move without stressing the button. That loose attachment looks imprecise, but it prevents breakage. Buttons are not tight because tightness would be brittle. The persistence of buttons through centuries of fashion change reveals something deeper. They survived not because they are the strongest closure, but because they are the most cooperative. They work with fabric rather than against it. They allow opening without destruction and closing without commitment. Modern alternatives, zippers, snaps, Velcro, optimize for speed, strength, or silence. Buttons optimize for tolerance. They accept that people will fasten them incorrectly, unevenly, and without care. The closing insight is quiet but important. Buttons exist in their current form because they respect repetition. They acknowledge that daily actions must be sustainable, not perfect. They turn closure into a habit rather than a task. Good design does not demand attention. It absorbs it. The button looks the way it does because it learned, very early, how much effort people are willing to give and decided not to ask for more.